All right, folks, sorry for the interruption. Here we are in video 2, just going to continue with number 13 here, folks. We left off with the x squared plus 5 equals 0. X squared equals a negative 5. When you take the square root of a negative number, folks, that's the definition of an imaginary number. So I goes on the outside. You're left with root 5. Square root of 5 is a decimal. Anytime you take a square root, it's plus or minus. Folks, we are going to have imaginary solutions. Square root of a negative, I root something. Okay, so let's keep that in mind going forward. Let's take a look here at 14. Going to do the same thing. What multiplies to 20 and adds to a negative 9? That would be negative 5 and negative 4. So x squared minus 5. X squared minus 4 is 0. Cover up method, you get x squared minus 5 is 0. X squared is 5. Take the square root. When you take the square root of 5, you are left with plus or minus root 5. Sorry, again, anytime you take a square root, it's plus or minus. Then right here, x squared minus 4 is 0. So we're going to write that. You get x squared is 4. This time we know what number squared gives you 4. It's 2, or it could be negative 2, hence we get plus or minus. Okay, the square root of 4 is a nice number too. Let's take a look here at 15. What multiplies to 72 because it's a negative differs by 1. That would be 9 and 8. So the middle term is positive, so that's a positive 9. That's a minus 8. X squared plus 9. X squared minus 8 gives you 0. Cover up method, x squared plus 9 is 0. All right, so you get x squared is a negative 9. When you take the square root of a negative 9, first off, the I comes out. As when you take the square root of 9, you get 3, so that'd be plus or minus 3i. All right, might take us some time to remember how to work with i's. 8 or x squared minus 8 is 0. X squared equals 8. Take the square root of 8, you get plus or minus root 8. We would break that down further normally, but that is fine. Anyway, we're going to have a few imaginary solutions here on 16. What multiplies to 18 adds to 9. That would be 6 and 3. So you get x squared plus 6. X squared plus 3 equals 0. Cover up method. X squared plus 6 is nothing. So when you move that 6 over, you get x squared is a negative 6. When you take the square root of a negative, that I comes out. The square root of 6 is just root 6. So plus or minus I root 6. You can do the same thing with x squared plus 3 equals 0. You're going to get x squared is a negative 3. A little hard to write at the end of this paper. Take the square roots of both sides. The square root of a negative is I. The square root of 3 is just root 3. Come on. So don't forget about plus or minus. All right, so we'll take a little bit of time again dealing with the i's and whatnot. Plus or minus I root 3. All right, I'm going to kind of go out of order here. Instead of looking at 4 just yet, I want us to look at the bottom here, the bottom of page 5, actually all of page 5. So what we know from before, guys, what I want you to do is I want you to just pause the second video, and I want you to try to do 1 and 2, which is synthetic division, and I want you to do 3 and 4, and attempt 5. 5 is the AC method, but anyway, page 5 is something that we need to do today, and then I'm going to help you out on 1 and 2 on the top of page 6. But anyway, pause this video, and then when you got your answers, start playing it again. All right, so folks, number 1 here, synthetic division. Remember, you always set what you're dividing by, x plus 0, x plus 2 equal to 0. So negative 2 goes in the cubby, 1x to the third, negative 6x squared, 8x and 5. You're going to bring 1 down. Negative 2 times 1 is a negative 2. Add these together. Get negative 8. Negative 2 times negative 8 is 16. Add those together. You get 24. Negative 2 times 24 is a negative 48. Add them together. Negative 43. All right. You started with x to the third, you divided it by x. This is 1x to the second minus 8x plus 24 minus 43. That's the remainder over what you divided by. All right, number 2 here, you set x minus 3 equal to 0. X equals 3 goes in the cubby. 4x to the third is 0x squared. If you skip a term, you got to put a 0. 6 for x, negative 9 for your constant. Bring the 4 down. 3 times 4 is 12. Add these together, 12. 3 times 12 is 36. Add them together, 42. 3 times 42 gives you 126. Add them together, 117 is your remainder. All right, start with 4x to the third, so your answer is going to be 4x squared plus 12x plus 42. The remainder is 117 over x minus 3. All right, the factoring shouldn't be that bad. Again, from before, what multiplies to 35 adds to 12. It's just 7 and 5. So x plus 7, x plus 5 would be your answer. All right, here on number 4, what multiplies to 63, because it's negative, differs by 2, 9 and 7. Middle term is positive, positive 9, negative 7. So x plus 9, x minus 7 is your answer. AC method on this one, all right? That's A, that's C. A times C is 4 times negative 6, negative 24. You ask yourself, what multiplies to 24 because it's negative, differs by 5? How about 8 and 3? The middle term is negative, so that's a minus 8. So you're going to rewrite 4x squared minus 5x minus 6 as 4x squared. Instead of writing minus 5x, you're going to write it as negative 8x plus 3x. As we have over here, minus 6. What do those two have in common? It's factored by grouping time. They have a 4x in common. When you divide that by 4x, you're left with x minus 2. Same sign, plus. Factor out of 3 that they have in common. This second pairing. Guys, this should always be the same. X minus 2 is, so x minus 2 goes in the parenthesis. I'm going to write it over here. And 4x plus 3 goes in the second parenthesis. Lastly, folks, on page 6, top of page 6, given a polynomial and one of its factors, find the remaining factors. All right, so this is just a combination of factoring and synthetic division. So if x minus 1 is a factor, we're going to divide, all right? This is telling us to divide by x minus 1 first. So set x minus 1 equal to 0, you get x is 1. So that goes in the cubby, 1x to the third, negative 6x squared, 11x, and a negative 6. So we're just going to divide. Bring the 1 down. 1 times 1 gives you 1. Add them together, negative 5. 1 times negative 5 is a negative 5. Add them together, 6. 1 times 6 is 6. Guys, you should have a remainder of 0 because I told you that x minus 1 was a factor. If I started with x to the third, this would be 1x squared minus 5x plus 6. But unlike the first two sections, I want to then factor this. So if it asks, find the remaining factors, then with this answer, I just factor it, okay? What multiplies to 6 adds to a negative 5. It'd be negative 3 and negative 2. So x minus 3, x minus 2 is your answer. That's the other two factors. All right, so why don't you guys try that with number 2 here. Pause the video right now. I'm gonna give you the answer, and then that is it. That is it. Okay, so this one right here. Again, you're dividing by x plus 1. So set x plus 1 equal to 0. X is negative 1, goes in the cubby. We'll finish up the remaining pages up to this tomorrow, okay? 1x to the third, 1x squared, negative 16x, and negative 16. You can actually factor this by grouping, it looks like. Bring the 1 down. Negative 1 times 1 is a negative 1. Add them together, you get 0. Negative 1 times 0 is 0. Add them together, you get negative 16. Negative 1 times negative 16 is 16. Add them together, that's your remainder. I started with x to the third, so this is going to be 1x squared. There's no x term, minus 16. That one's pretty easy to factor. That's a difference of two perfect squares. What multiplies to 16 adds or differs by 0. What multiplies to negative 16 differs by 0. That is x plus 4, x minus 4. All right. Anyway, I will do 3 and 4 with you tomorrow. And then what you guys should look at is on page 7. On page 7 here, you're eventually going to try these on your own. So I'll give you a little help since I wasn't here today, but you're going to try 5, 6, 7, and 8 really on your own. All right, 90.9, the Quadratic, signing out.